So the topic we'll talk about now, it's under a field called decision theory, but it's utility theory. And so the questions, I try to almost oversimplify this, but suppose you were given a choice where you could have either $1 right now, or you can have either 0 or $3 depending on flipping a coin, right? So the coin, let's say, has a 50% chance of being heads, 50% chance of being tails. And if the coin comes up heads, you get $3. If it comes up tails, you get 0. So which one would you do? And why? Which one would you pick? Would you take $1 for sure? Or would you let the coin flip and maybe get $3, maybe get $1? So which would you pick? The $3 one? Okay, and what's your logic? Why would you do that?
I mean, since $1 is gonna be there for sure,
Right.
there's like risk in either or, but there are higher chances of getting.
Right. So kind of I guess kind of the logic I kind of put in small letters. If you pick choice 1, you're going to get $1. So you're expected to get $1. In fact, you'll always get $1. If you go the other way, there's a 50% chance you'll get $3, but there's a 50% chance you'll get 0. So if you take 50% of 3 and 50% of 0, you can expect to get $1.50. You're not going to get $1.50. You'll either get $3 or 0, but on average, you'll get $1.50. And if you were asked to do this 100 times, you would want to do this, because you'll end up probably getting around $150 versus $100. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but it should come out that way. But if you can only do it one time, it still might be worth it to get a higher expected value, right? So would anyone pick $1? Would any of you pick $1, or would you all take the 1, 0, or 3? Okay. All right, so now, suppose we were to, okay, so actually what you're mostly doing is you're using what's called risk neutral theory, meaning the risk part of it doesn't bother you. You don't mind taking the risk, because on average you'll do better taking the risk than not taking the risk. So this is called the risk neutral thing. So since $1 and $3 isn't a lot of money to us, you might pick the choice that would give you the highest expected return. If the tails come down, you get 0. You might not care too much, and at least you feel like you put yourself in a good position to try to get the best possible return. Okay, so that's kind of thinking. So everyone would pick the flip the coin and try to get the $3. Okay. Now suppose, same question, but it's not $1 and $3, it's $1 million. Or you flip a coin and you could have $0 or $3 million. It's the same exact question, but more money, okay? Does this change your answer?
It depends. If it's like beginning, then I would rather stay with 1 million rather than taking the chance.
What's beginning?
Like, if, for example, I'm starting a business or whatever, and if I don't have money at all.
So I thought I put it, all right, so anyway, so the idea is if $1 million is a lot of money, and obviously $3 million is 3 times that, would this change your answer? So the math is the same. There's a 100% chance you'll get $1 million if you pick choice 1. If you pick choice 2, there's a 50% chance you'll get $3 million and a 50% chance you'll get 0, which means on average you'll get $1.5 million. But you would pick $1 million, right? And so just from, just like what's your gut feeling? Why would you do that? Because it's safer.
Yeah.
And $1 million is a lot of money. 3 million is obviously more, but to go to $1 million is worth a lot to you. To get the extra 2 million is only worth a little more, right? We'll try to capture that way of thinking. What did I put? Let me see. Okay. So this is now risk averse thinking. You want to avoid risk. So since $1 million is a lot of money, might think would be great if you got $1 million. Of course, having $3 million would be better, but having 0 would be much, much worse than $1 million. And then I put a little note here. If you feel that $1 million isn't a lot of money, change the question to $1 billion. $1 billion versus $3 billion. All right, so basically we want to use numbers that you go, wow, that's a lot of money. And then it becomes a different answer. Even though it's the same exact question, it's just the money got so big you changed your answer. So, so we'd like to try to capture why people are thinking this way. So to kind of quantify this, quantify means, you know, assign numbers to things. So to kind of quantify this, we're going to assign a number, we call that the utility value. So let's say on a scale from 1 to 100, you feel that having $0 has 0 value. Having $1 million is like a 94 out of 100. That's like, would be great to have $1 million. And $3 million, it's only a little bit more, like 96. It's better than 1 million, but it's a big jump. 1 million has a high number. So let's say in your mind, having $0 is worth 0 points. We call this utility. Utility is 0. Having $1 million on a scale from 0 to 100 would be like a 94. And then 3 million, which is better, it's only 96. It's only a little bit better. This would be like dramatically better than where we currently are, and this would be a little bit better than that. So what kind of is going through your mind is you're saying my expected utility, if I choose choice 1, I'm going to get 94. A utility of 94. I'm not going to get $94, I'm going to get a utility of 94. If I pick the second choice, there's a 50% chance I'll be at 0 and a 50% chance I'll be at 96. So the utility is 48, the expected utility. And I'd rather have 94 than 48. So that's good. We're going to try to quantify what's going through our minds. Okay. Okay, so now let's take another example. $1 or you can have 0 or $3. Okay. If you, this should be $2. This should be $2. So either you get $2 or you can flip the coin and you get either 3 or 0. Which would you pick? So, let me change this. That's what the slide should say. Okay, so you have a choice. This is now kind of going back to the first question. You have a choice now. You can either have $2 guaranteed, or you can have either 0 or $3, but you flip a coin. Now, which one would you pick? You'd probably pick the. Would you pick the $2, or you like having the $3? You like flipping the coin? Would you guys have a preference? You flip the coin? Okay. So, if you don't flip the coin, you get $2. If you do flip the coin, you might get 3 or you might get 0. So you're expected to get $1.50. So most people would say, I'll take the $2, but it looks like you'd like to gamble, even just for the fun of it, right? Just to try to get more money. Well, suppose you really needed $3, like you're going over to the campus movie tonight, and it's plus $3 to get in. So $2 doesn't do a lot for you, but you really need $3. Then you might flip the coin. So if that's the case, then we refer to that kind of thinking as a risk seeking. It's almost like you like risk, even though mathematically it doesn't come to you. So that's risk seeking. Okay, so in a case like that, maybe having $0 has little utility to you. So this is like how much worth it has in your head, not a dollar amount. Having $0 gives you 0 utility. Having $2 is better than $0, that only gives you 5 utility. But $3 will get you into the movie theater. So that has like a 90, score of 90. So if you pick choice 1, you're going to get 5 utility points. Whereas if you pick choice 2, you might get 0 or 90, you'll get 45 points. So 45 is better than 5. So a risk-seeking person would pick 45. Even though mathematically, you're expected to end up with less money, you will get a greater utility. That money you would get is worth more to you at this moment. Okay. So, suppose you had a chance to do an investment, and it could pay out $10 or $20 or $30 or $40 or $50 with different probability. If in your mind $10 is worth 10 utility points, $20 is worth 20, 30 is worth 30, then you're going to do what's risk neutral. You're going to do what just makes mathematical sense to do. And this would form a straight line. If we were to plot this, what the payout is versus the utility, how much it means to you in your mind, it would be a straight line. We would have a straight line. And if, for example, on the risk-adverse one, that's where you're kind of afraid of risk, you might think, oh, if I could have $1 million on a scale from, let's say, 1 to 100, that's worth, to me, that's worth 94 points. To have $2 million, that would be better, but it's only worth like an extra point. The first million would be really nice. The extra millions are worth, you know, then 3 million is worth 96 points, 4 million is worth 96.5, 5 million is worth 96.8. So if we were to plot this, how much money, let's say across the bottom based on the utility, it would shoot up very high and then it would curve, it would taper off. And then the other way around, which is a low payout, where the low payouts don't mean much to you, but as they get a little bit higher, the value to you goes way up. So if having $1 has no value to you, having $2 has 1 point worth of utility, $3 is worth 3. Now $4 is worth 8 points. That means a lot more. It's a big jump. You really would like 4 over 3 a lot, and then 5 is a lot more than 4. This would mean you're risk seeking. You'd be better off gambling and trying to get 4 and 5 as opposed to playing it safe and getting 1 and 2. So the curves would look something like this. So the risk adverse, the low numbers, so sometimes you have W as well sometimes, and then this is the utility if you had that well. But so at a low number, it has a low payout has a lot of value to you. And then as the payouts get bigger, they start to taper off. 5 million, 6 million, 7, it's, you know, as the payout gets bigger, its value to you starts to go away. On the other hand, if you're a risk taker, the high numbers have a lot of worth to you, but all the low numbers kind of have the same kind of worthless value to you. So you're most likely trying to shoot for the wealth out here because it has a lot of value. And if your value is, you know, as the money goes up, your value goes up proportional to it, then that would just be a straight line, and that's the risk graph. Okay. Okay. So then, you know, someone wanted to kind of quantify these, this kind of theory, try to put numbers behind it. So by Neumann and Morgenstein's utility theorem says that in decision theory, that their theorem shows that under certain axioms, if your utility, those charts I just put up, if they follow a certain set of rules, a certain set of axioms, the probability of the outcome choices behave as if he or she is maximizing the expected value of the function. So you're not trying to get the most money. The choice where we picked $1 million, we were not trying to maximize the expected money, we were trying to maximize the expected utility, what it is worth to us, those points. And that function, that utility function, the function that puts out that number is what they call the utility function. And the theory is based on it. So yeah, let me just go back and just say, so for example, if you had a choice between getting $1 million for sure or taking a risk and either getting 0 or 3 million, the one way you take the risk, you're expected to get $1.5 million, which is more than $1 million. So you might think, if I don't care about risk, I would pick that one. I'd rather take the shot of getting 1.5 million as opposed to 1 million. But if 1 million is worth a lot to me, and 3 million is only worth a little more than 1 million, we're using the word utility to say it has a utility at 94, whereas 1 million has a utility at 96. I'd rather take the 94 points than take a risk and get either 0 or 96. So it's not the amount of money, it's how much value that has to me, the person who's trying to invest. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically what their theorem is saying. That you would come up with a function, instead of looking at the payouts and assuming you're a risk-neutral minded person, I don't mind risk, I'll just take whatever gives me the best expected payout. Actually, the different payouts have different values to me. And depending on my mindset, I could be risk averse, which would make me more likely to take smaller, safer amounts of money than larger, higher risk amounts of money. Okay. So the 4 axioms are completeness, transitivity, continuity, and independence. So completeness is basically saying that if L is less than, that any two numbers that show up here, right now I could expand this chart, I could have made this chart go actually real numbers, 1,000,001, 1,000,000.2, 1,000,000.3, you could do every possible number, that all of these utilities would all have a number going along with them. But as far as these values are concerned, the first axiom says that the numbers are either one is less than the other, one is greater than the other, or whatever equal. So every number can be represented. So for example, you could never say, what would you do if you could have $3.5 million? Oh, I don't have an answer for that. Every possible number you can put in here is going to have a possible number. So it's a complete table. Okay. Transitivity says if utility of one is, if L is less than n and m is less than n, then L must be less than n. So we're not going to have a situation where you say, we're not going to have a situation where we say, to me, the value of $1 million is 94, the value of $2 million is 95, and the value of $3 million is 96, but the value of $3 million is worth less than $1 million to me. So these numbers would have to go in order. You go 94, 95, you can't go 94, 95, 92. Can't go out of there. So if $2 million is worth more than $1 million to me, and $3 million is worth more than $2 million, then obviously $3 million is worth more than $1 million. I could never have another entry that says $1 million is worth more than $3 million. So it's transitive. That's the second axiom. And then continuity is L is less than n and n is less than n. Then there would be some probability between 0 and 1, where if I assign that probability times L, so let's say the coin comes up heads, times L. And then 1 minus b is the probability the coin will come up tails, times n. So if L is less than m and n is greater than m, I could find some probability where if I put the two weights, they would equal each other. So that ends up being like, so let's say for example, 1 million, 2 million, and 3 million. Have a utility of 94, 95, 96. So this one's pretty obvious. I could say 50% of this number plus 50% of this number would equal this number. Right? 50% of 94 and 50% of 96 equals 95. So anytime I have an ordering like this, if I randomly picked 3 rows, I could take the smaller row and the bigger row and multiply one by a value p and the other one by 1 minus p, and I'll always be able to get something in the middle. There's some way I could put a percentage of weight on one number and a previous number to get to a number. and then the last axiom is independent. So if L is less than n, then for any n value, there is a probability P that is greater than 0, but could go as high as 1. Where if we said P times L and 1 minus P, the remainder times n, would always be less than that same P weighted by times n, and the remainder against the n. So it's basically saying that this number, P times n, will always be less than L times n. So what we're basically saying here, and it kind of shows up pretty obvious in this chart, if this number, 96, is greater than this number, then any percentage, anything between 0 and 1 times this number, any percentage times this number would be less than the same percentage times this number. So as long as that's true. So it's really what it's basically saying, this is a function. It's kind of like, here's your input, here's your output. It's continuous. It's not discrete numbers. It's real numbers. It's always growing. It's always getting bigger and bigger. And it has the transitive property, these 4 axioms. If that's true, then what we have is a valid utility. Okay, so for example, why would someone buy insurance? Why do insurance companies exist and why do people buy insurance? So let's say, for example, you pay a premium of $700 a year to insure your car in case you get into an accident. And so how does an insurance company make a profit from you? Or from all the people who buy insurance? How do they make a profit? Because they collect money from people. Then people get into accidents and they pay out money to repair the car or whatever the damage is. But how does an insurance company make money? Make a profit. So they would have to take in more money than they pay out. So their expected value would be more comes in than goes out. So that means your expected value of buying insurance is you're going to lose money. You're expected to lose money. So what does your balance sheet look like? Well, you pay $700, and then there's a probability you'll get into an accident and receive money. In fact, there's going to be a long probability distribution. So you might receive $200, you might receive $2,000, you might receive $50,000. But very likely you'll receive nothing if you get into no accident. But you have some expected value. And the only reason an insurance company is in business is because the expected value of all their customers is a negative number. That's their profit. Your loss is their profit. So they exist because their expected value is that you're going to lose money. So then why are you buying insurance? Because you're risk adverse. You don't want to take the big loss of getting into a big expensive car accident. So why does an insurance company make a profit? Because their profit is $700 to get from you minus whatever they expect to pay you. And what they expect to pay you, hopefully for them, will be less than $700 per year. And they actually have people who calculate what they expect to pay you. And if it went up to $800, they'd be charging you $900 because they want to charge you more than they expect to pay you. And with a large group of people, they'll make a profit. So now the question is, why would you buy insurance? And it's because you're risk adverse. The premium payment to you has a low utility as opposed to the big payout if you get into a car accident. So you're saying, I don't mind paying $700. What I really don't want to do is get into a big expensive accident that I can't afford to cover. So the reason you're buying insurance is the utility of the accident. And then, just just a question to think about. Now, this is going to be very hard for us to calculate, but it's just an idea of what to think about. So Waze, which is, tells you on your phone how to get from point A to point B. Waze was, I think it was an Israeli company, and they were bought by Google. But Google got into a bidding war with Facebook and Apple, trying to buy Waze. And the question is, if Google already has Google Maps, which kind of does the same thing, but a lot of people think Waze is better. And do you guys use Waze? Yeah? Have you used Google Maps and Waze? Is one better than the other? Which one?
Waze.
Waze is better? Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so Google Maps, Google already has maps. So why would they want to buy a second thing that does something similar, but you say it's better? But why would they want something that's a little bit better than something they already have? Why would they pay a lot of money for it? Why would Facebook want to buy? They're not in the business of telling people where to go. That's Google's business. And Apple. Why would they want to buy it? Well, they would want to buy it. This is all about utility. They would want to buy it so they'd have a product that compete against Google. But people don't go to Facebook to learn where they're going. So they might even sell it. Or do you?
Kind of. I mean, it does have location and everything, so.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't say the same thing as Waze, but.
Okay. But, I mean, I don't know. See, Google makes maps, and then anyone who makes a website can just use maps for free. Of course, now Google's advertising on their website, so maybe they felt that they had their own version of maps. I don't know, I mean, they're not paying a lot of money for it, 1.15 billion to buy Waze. But, so that would be a lot of money for Facebook to pay, and I don't know if they get a lot of utility out of it because they have a slightly better way to tell their customers how to get to an event. But the other thing is, if they would have a product that competes with, and actually you say it's better than Google's product. So Google, maybe they don't need to map, two things telling you where to go, but they don't want their competitors to have it. So it has a bigger utility, even though it might not make sense to have two products that do basically the same thing. It probably had a very high utility to Google. And that's what's going through these companies' minds when they're trying to figure out what to pay for these products. So they're not going to just look at the balance sheet of the company and go, oh, Waze looks like it's worth, $600 million. They're going to say, yeah, maybe it's worth $600 million, but if my competitor gets it, I'm going to lose a lot of money. So it has a very high utility to me, even though it's not really worth what you think it's worth. So yeah, so what we talked about last class with our financial statements, those are documents we can look at to try to guess what a company's worth. Then once you have a guess at it, you can then take what it's worth. It may have, for different mindsets, it may have different utility values for other companies. And so this actually just makes this utility theory combined with the financial statements law shows us how hard it is to evaluate a company. You can have one value to one company and a totally different value to a different company because they have a different utility without that.